You know, I don't know why, but I thought that these kind of shows went extinct. You know what I'm talking about. The shows that followed in the vein of South Park and Bad Family Guy. They're shows like Mr. Pickles, Brickleberry, Legends of Chamberlain Heights. These adult animated sitcoms that have just nothing but raunch. Almost universally terribly animated, and usually bring nothing new to the party. It had been a while since I've heard of a new one, actually. Maybe it's because my ear wasn't particularly to the ground, but after like Mr. Pickles and I guess Big Mouth, we really didn't get too many more of them. Then in 2021, we got a brand new cartoon in the genre called Teenage Euthanasia. By the title alone, you probably know that it's going to be a riot. At the very least, this one has more of an interesting premise than something like Brickleberry or Border Town. And what is that premise? So the show stars this character, Trophy Fantasy. Can I, stop the review right there. This show stars a character named Trophy Fantasy. I get that that's supposed to be a joke. What I don't get is how it's supposed to be funny. It's like South Park's Token Black joke, except with one of the main characters. And even less funny because South Park already did the joke and trampled on it. But I digress. So, Trophy Fantasy. You're gonna have to bear with me, because I'm going to cringe every single time that I say this character's name. The premise of the show is that she becomes a teen mother to a girl named Euthanasia. You know, I could really use me some of that right now. Trophy abandons her with her mother, some Eastern European woman named Baba. Okay, Baba is a word in Russian and Polish that basically means old woman. So this show falls into one of those weird places where I really can't tell if they didn't give a shit at all, or they gave a lot of a shit to make it look like they didn't give a shit at all. The show's got a lot of problems, and here I am getting hung up on names. Premise, right, I was talking about the premise. Trophy gets divorced, and then sometime later she commits suicide by overdosing. Then she gets revived. This turns her into a quote-unquote sentient zombie with supernatural abilities that involves housing sentient beetles in her crotch. I will give the show this. That is one that I haven't heard before. But then again, maybe there's a reason for that. I watched one episode and that was about all I could take, and it's the one we're going to be watching today. It was the one that Adult Swim released for free, so I have to assume that this is the episode that they want to use to sell the series. Maybe the show gets better in other episodes, but I don't have me much of a hope. And let's start by talking about something that definitely isn't unique to this episode, and that would be the animation and the art style. To be as fair as I can, this is not the ugliest show that I've ever seen. I mean, I reviewed Mr. Pickles and Legend of Chamberlain Heights. There really isn't much down to go in that direction. And it's not as bad as Adult Party Cartoon or Mr. Pickles in terms of raw gross out. This is still gross out, don't get me wrong. Can someone please explain to me why adult cartoons think it's funny to make the act of kissing seem like the most obscene, disgusting action you can commit on another person? The art style is definitely bad though. For me, this mostly came down to the characters' heads. They're all just a circle with some details pasted over it. It's continually obvious, and it's constantly distracting, especially because the expression work is just not good. It never comes close to looking appealing. On top of that, sometimes they try to do the ugly or over the top for things like jump scares, and they can't clear that hurdle either. And the worst part of the animation is that there's really nothing more to say. It's not bad in any interesting or unique way. It's just run-of-the-mill ugly. I mean, think of those other cartoons that I mentioned. At least the ones that don't directly take from Family Guy's style, like Brickleberry, Mr. Pickles, Chamberlain Heights, hell, even Problem Solvers. These shows are all the ugliest that I've ever seen, but they all have a style that is uniquely their own. I'm going to remember what they look like. This show just devolves into vague blobs in my mind. So the first episode, and the episode revealed, is called Nobody Beats the Baba, and it takes place at a funeral convention. According to Wikipedia, the series takes place in a mildly apocalyptic near future. And that is one of the most confusing statements I've ever heard. How the hell can something be mildly apocalyptic? Oh wait, I just took a look outside. I get it now, never mind. Anyway, I love this episode because it perfectly showcases how little longevity this premise actually has. So, Teenage Euthanasia is a black comedy series. There are a lot of jokes about death. It's the overall aesthetic. We are following a corpse around, despite that not being the quote-unquote Teenage Euthanasia character. Death is part and parcel to the theme, and man, do they not have any material to work with. By the end of the episode, I was getting really tired of all the death shit, which is odd to me. I've watched plenty of other spooky cartoons that use death a lot. Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy comes straight to mind in that regard, with a lot of jokes about pain and death and suffering. And then I remember that show had clever writing, and it actually had a wide array of humor. While death was used a lot in its material, there were other types of jokes. And to be fair, there are other types of jokes in this episode.
Everybody here's horny. You've got your plainclothes goths, your necrophiliacs, your quiet cape wearers who play organ music.
The problem is that they're the same jokes that I've been hearing in adult cartoons for 20 years now. All the characters are super duper horny. Giggity.
I knew Lonnie got her pregnant, but I didn't think they'd keep it. Guess they forgot to use fun contraception.
And everything is in like this super casual manner of speaking that is, you know, clinically impossible to actually, be funny. It's really slow and tedious and a pain in the ass, and it never sparks any sense of interest. It does quite the opposite, actually. Alright, so this episode has an A plot and a B plot, because seriously, writing a 22-minute story is hard, guys, and if we had just 11-minute segments, you'd think that we were a kid's show. Let's address the B plot first, because I don't really care. It stars Uncle Pete. It's his birthday today. He gets stuck in a coffin and hallucinates. I'm getting some flashbacks. Seriously though, a new idea for once in a while would be fan-fucking-tastic. Personally, I think that it's a bad move to separate Uncle Pete like this in its own right. It doesn't give him much opportunity to interplay with the rest of the characters, and by the end of the episode he comes across as really redundant. Like, he doesn't even need to be here. He's a character that does nothing for the episode except kill time, which I guess is an objective in some regard. So the real plot of the episode is that it's a funeral convention, and Baba wants to win the prize for Best Embalming Fluid. Meanwhile, Trophy comes across one of her old arch-nemesis, Sophie. They've had a history.
Sophie, give it back! It's my Megan!
Alright, so the voice acting in the show is largely passable, but in this flashback they sound, what's the word I'm looking for? Awful. Is the joke supposed to be that I want to die listening to this?
Baba, could I go smell some candles before I start my job?
No, your bad posture is like mating call to sexual deviance.
You ever watch a stand-up comedian where no one is laughing? Like, at all?
Baba tell granddaughter secret of how to determine who molest her. Just hum first few bars of Skip to My Boo.
Actually, no. Have you ever watched, like, a mediocre stand-up comedian where they're not funny, but they're, like, almost funny? They're so almost funny that you wish they were worse, so you didn't have to keep on watching in the vain hope that they might crack that barrier that they never can. I don't know why I'm bringing this up, because this show is nowhere near that level of quality. It's in a dead zone all the way through.
I have to go have drunk, unprotected sex with 10 guys to dull the pain.
Hey guys! Teens have sex! Did you know that? Are you still living in 2005 like I am? Like, that's a growing problem with these kind of shows. They've always been lazy, just throwing shit and sex and grunge at the screen. But as time goes on, the shock dulls, and then they have nothing. This might have been shocking a decade or more ago. It's not now. Like, at this point, going anything short of full Big Mouth would get you nothing but yawns. And I wouldn't exactly recommend going down that route either.
Baba have just the job for novice. You hold sign.
Hello, Meg. Like, I don't think I'm pointing out obscure shows here. You know, that underrated little classic Family Guy. Most of these shows are still in recent memory. The people who would be watching the show have seen this before. Anyway, Meg here has a romantic thing with Sophie's son that doesn't really amount to much.
I'm DTF, down to food court!
So that's what that means.
That's like half a punchline. The guy never uses it anywhere in the episode, he just disappears. All the jokes in this are like that.
Now, did everyone try a piece of the carrot cake? Surprise! That's not just beta carotene you're tasting.
This joke would only work in any sense of the word if we saw the reactions of the people who just ate corpse. I swear to God, I'm halfway tempted to end this review right now. I mean, why not? They didn't bother to finish the fucking episode, why would I bother to finish the fucking review? I mean, there's a scene where the corpse is hitting on another corpse. I can't even call it funny sarcastically, it's not. It's not even horrendously unfunny. It's just boring. The show has the flavor of styrofoam. I don't know if I should be complaining, but this one hits that weird place where I'd prefer it if it were worse, because then at least it would be interesting. Yes, sorry to say, but the show about the resurrected corpse with sentient beetles in her crotch is not interesting.
I expected to fail at sabotaging Sophie, but I didn't think I'd fail at getting laid, too.
Okay. Repeat after me. Being horny is not a personality. Not even if the character is female. I guess to be fair, she's also jealous and stupid, but that's not much better. I'd say that this character isn't likable, but like, we're not even at the level where that's important. This character is just not interesting in the slightest. So she taints her rival's embalming fluid, then she finds her stuffed maggot, and throws Sophie's son in the trash. This backfires somehow when it properly embalms a rat. Then Trophy partially gets turned into a rat herself. Is there anything original about this show at all? Like, just one thing that's new and has never been done before.
This scent's called Democratic Presidential Nominee. Top note of never getting what you want.
Huh, They actually did it. They added in bad on-the-nose political commentary that has nothing to do with anything. Maybe I was wrong all along. Maybe they were trying to make the most cliche by-the-numbers adult cartoon in history. If that was the goal, congratulations, you've done amazing! You did a stellar job! However, on the very teeny tiny small chance that you were trying to do literally anything else, next time spend about an hour or two brainstorming before you actually start.